Children of porn stars, what was it like growing up? There was an guy in another town whose parents had made a porno movie, but the plot twist here is that the mom was pregnant at the time. So you could say he was in a porno too. And to top it up, a somewhat known rapper used the sound of the movie, just the start of it, in one of his songs, which have been played at festivals and in the radio. Must have been hard for him. Mom wasn't a flat-out porn star, but she danced at one of the older strip clubs in Vegas, Glitter Gulch. Most men flirt with her, but because it was only adults seeing her naked or going into a private room for other services, so it never bled over into teasing by children. I just learned at a young age that you could pay your bills with your body, but if you stay in the industry, the more risk to your person is involved physically, mentally, and emotionally. Someone from my high school. His mom was locally famous for some apparent extreme sex tapes. He was teased non-stop about it once kids found out. He ended up leaving the country the moment he turned 18, which was in the middle of his senior year, after legally changing his name. I wasn't in his class, I was a year under, but from what I remember, he hated his mom and was extremely aggressive in his last year before running off. One of my best friends in HS had a mom who did porn back in the early 90s. Found out after we graduated, but nobody really cared at that point because we all knew her. She had driven most of us home blackout drunk from parties one time or another. She was cool, really chill, but apparently quite strict with her own kids. Died a couple of years ago from breast cancer. Really, EDT, bummed me out when I found out. She was a nice lady. Not me. My friend's mom had been a nude model for motorcycle pin-up magazines and nudie spreads in the 70s or 80s before he was born. I knew this guy for probably 3 years from hanging out at mutual friends' homes before finally going to his place. He never mentioned his mom being a nude model before, but when we walked into the house, his parents were sitting in the living room smoking cigarettes under this giant poster-sized photo of her topless and sprawled out on a motorcycle, looking very seductive and horny. He explained it later and said this is why he rarely has friends over. My dad was in a nude magazine that circulated in the 90s all around Australia called Picture Magazine. He was no porn star by any means. But he did have a nude picture inside of a magazine. People brought the picture to school. I would show it to me like I haven't seen my dad walk around the house naked. I was less embarrassed when I managed to wrangle this comeback. Why, you got a naked picture of a guy in your backpack, dude? Removed. I'm late, but I'll give my personal take as the daughter of a mom who did porn in her early 20s. I didn't even know until I was around 15, so it didn't affect me before that, honestly. My mom moved on to non-porn line of work, so it's not like I grew up near it or really grew up while she was still in the industry or anything like that. Also, she's not one of the extremely popular ones that a ton of people would know, so she most likely wouldn't get recognized on the street, I don't think, haha. My cousin was actually the one who told me, but didn't show me anything, and I confirmed it with my mom later on. Pretty awkward for me to say the least, haha. Also, I'm not embarrassed or ashamed of it really, and I don't have any traumatic stories that relate to this, tbh. Not sure what else I should add. Removed. Ask this question in 10 to 15 years and you'll get way more answers. I'd assume surfing porn would be more like navigating a minefield. Lana Rhodes' kid is gonna find this thread in 12 years with a Google search. Removed. Not a porn star and not me as the kid. But, small-town local woman posed for a nude picture in a porn magazine. I think it was something she sent into the amateur section or something. Somehow, the entire town found out. Her son was a couple years older than me. Everyone absolutely tortured him about it. Literally taping the picture from the magazine to his locker. And she was a very visible community member. She walked for exercise all around town every day. There was a very easily rememberable caption on the picture, so everyone just called her that. Think slide if she was going down a slide naked. So people would drive by her and yell slide when they saw her. I was in JR High when it started. But it went on for years and years. Before I moved away when I was 30, she was a mean lady that yelled at people on the street and even yelled at my mom a couple of times for having her dog out in her own front yard. Back then I just thought she was crazy. Now, I realize that that one picture and that crazy small town ruined her. Of course she was mean and angry. The backlash she and her child received was disgusting. I have no idea what happened to her son. I don't even remember him being in high school with us. But I think he probably was. I haven't seen her in many years, so I don't know what happened to her either. It makes me sad now when I think about what they went through. And how it was probably some asshole dad who bought that magazine regularly, saw her in it, and told everyone. Including his kids. It's just cruel. I'm ashamed that I ever thought it was funny. Those poor people didn't deserve that. Reminds me that episode from Midnight Diner. Lady does one porn film cause she had a crush on the actor, but ends up marrying an old man, doesn't tell him about working in porn movie. Years later she meets that actor again, almost cheats but old man dies, leaving her a storage unit. When she checks the storage unit, it's full of DVDs of that one porn movie she starred in. Edit, Season 1 Episode, 8 Sautéed Yam of Midnight Diner, Tokyo Stories on Netflix. Which old saying is actually a bullshit. You won't always have a calculator on you. It's all good in the hood. It is not. Edit, thanks for all the awards, I appreciate you, appreciating my confusion. Do what you love and the money will follow. Looks don't matter. I've noticed that this is usually said by people who are attractive themselves. That's like someone born rich saying that money doesn't matter. Do something you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. Bullshit, now what used to bring my joy is miserable and I don't have a backup career. Good things happen to good people. Crock of shit that is. Feed a cold, starve a fever. Just eat nutritious, easy to digest foods when you're sick, and stay hydrated. Edit, holy cow, this comment blew up. Thanks for the awards. As for the people who are telling me my version is incorrect, I can tell you that it's the one I heard growing up, and the internet seems to confirm that it is indeed a saying, though starve a cold, feed a fever also seems to be a thing. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's water under the fridge. Only the good die young. Winners never cheat and cheaters never win. Yeah, bullshit. Cheaters almost always win. Slow and steady wins the race, yet I always lose the Kahoot. Good things come to those who wait. My grandmother used to say, that man is as worthless as a one-legged man at an ass-kickin'. End number X200B. Well, I worked at a mental facility. One day I saw a one-legged man absolutely destroy another dude. Popped him in the head with his crutch, then pitched forward and just stomped on him with his one leg. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. NSFW, what was your most embarrassing trip to the doctor? Infected ballsack. Crushed my nuts with a milk crate at work, and when asked by the emergency staff how it happened they were confused. Spent roughly 10 HRS trying to explain how and even had to demonstrate a few times. The time I went for a pelvic exam, and my gynecologist was rummaging around down there and suddenly asked me if I'd ever been to the Grand Canyon. Post-salmonella hemorrhoids. I went to my usual male doctor and told him about my painful butt things, and he politely asked if I would like a female doctor to check them. I am a woman. I said cheerfully, nah mate, all good, everyone's got a butthole. He did do the check, but I was silently asking myself the whole time, why did you say that? Why? Went to the ER for stomach pains, worried about appendix, spleen, gallbladder etc. End number X200B. I was constipated. End number X200B. My brother still tells the joke that the one time I went to the doctor I was full of shit. Hemorrhoids by far. I know women go through way worse at the gyno and it's what I expected, but I was not prepared to lay on my side in the fetal position while the doctor opened my ass cheeks like he was about to read a book. I had a cyst on my upper butt crack for the better part of a month. One lovely Saturday morning it's gotten so large and swollen that I couldn't even walk or sit down without crying in pain. I'm the first person to the urgent care that morning and find myself laying sideways on a table with a lovely doctor using a scalpel to force an eruption of the volcano that had formed between my cheeks. It was instant relief and used probably 20 pieces of gauze to clean up. I'd say that one. Even worse than getting my balls ultrasound. When I had to show my naked butt to the doctor in the hospital and she spread my butt cheeks to look inside, and then a dozen student doctors, interns, came in the room and were all staring at my butt for what felt like hours. Cut the flap of skin that connects my sack to the shaft of my penis with hair clippers. Not only was it a day that they were training new doctors, but also my mom worked for the hospital and saw my name on the computer system. So by the end of the visit, I had 5 extra young doctors staring while I got stitches, but also my mom walked in too thinking something bad happened to me. Found a small lump on the left testicle. I went to see the urologist, and when the nurse brought me to the room, inside there was a doctor with around 20 students. Doctor told me to lie down on bed and take my pants and underwear off. And not to worry about students, how they will be doctors one day as well. He put the gloves on, and proceeded with the exam, trying to find the lump by moving his fingers around my left testicle. After he finally found it, he called the first student, and told him to look for the lump. Every single person in that room was touching my balls. That was weird as F. Edit. That was 20 years ago in Eastern Europe, you had no choice lol. And more than half of the students were girls. I had a ton of pain in my balls. And read too many TIFU by getting testicular torsion posts on here and a recent coworker who was diagnosed with testicular cancer. I went in to get the pain checked out. Wouldn't go away, kept me up at night, just really freaked me out and hurt. After much inspection and touching, the doc asked about what kind of underwear I wear and I said boxers. He said he recommends getting boxer briefs as I have saggy balls and have most likely torn a ligament or muscle. I immediately bought some boxer briefs and sure enough by within a little over a month the pain had subsided. I paid $250 for the doc to tell me I have saggy balls and get new underwear. Edit, an award for my balls, happy Friday, cradle your boys, and thank you, you kind souls. I had a CAT scan for a kidney stone, since that's all they were looking for in the notes it said penis, unremarkable. I know it's not much but damn. I was pretty young, had never swallowed a pill before, my only experience with anything pill-like was Flintstone vitamins. I was in there with my mom and was given a Tylenol and a cup of water, and I guess no one imagined I had never taken a pill before, so I immediately popped it in my mouth and vigorously chewed, and then immediately threw up from the bitter taste. My reaction was surprise and confusion. Doctor was just like, "You just swallow them, with the water." Like I was some damn idiot. Woke up one day with severe pain in my lower right abdomen. I was aware this was a possible indication of appendicitis, so I'm worried. Got to the walk-in clinic where they ran some tests and an x-ray. After a while the doctor comes in and simply says, "You're full of shit," and laughed. I said, "Excuse me?" Come to find out I was severely constipated. They prescribed a laxative and a few hours later I was feeling a lot better. I was about 15 and at the doctor's laying on that short table waiting for the doctor. I couldn't figure out why that dumb table was so short and tried to figure out a way to make it longer. Well, I realized at the end of the table there were these fancy leg extensions. So I pulled them out and waited. Doctor came in and started laughing hysterically and asked me what kind of exam I wanted. I didn't realize what I had done until 20 years later I went to the doctor's with my wife. Kind of a delayed embarrassment. Edit, I probably should include the part as to the look I had on my face 20 years later when it all came to me and I figured out what actually happened. I am sure my wife was puzzled as to why I was laughing so hard while she was having her checkup done. I had blood in my urine once. Went to the doctor and we figured out that I had popped a small blood vessel in my genital area from jerking off too hard/too often. Doctor, are you sexually active? Me, not currently. Doctor, masturbation. Me, a lot. To make things worse, there was some college dude shadowing the doctor that day.